So I want you to picture yourself for a second, strapped inside the cockpit of a modern United States military fighter jet.
Right, arguably one of the most advanced machines on Earth.
Exactly. You are surrounded by screens, dials, and just, the most sophisticated telemetry equipment humanity has ever engineered.
And you've got years of intense training under your belt.
Yeah, you are trained to identify every single silhouette that could possibly share the sky with you.
Right.
Like a commercial airliner, a weather balloon, an adversary's stealth drone, all of their radar cross-sections.
Thrust-to-weight ratios, heat signatures, all of it.
Exactly. Your life depends entirely on that split-second recognition. But then, sitting right there in your airspace is an object that fundamentally breaks every rule of physics you were ever taught.
It's an incredible scenario.
It really is. So welcome to today's deep dive. Today we are opening up a fascinating document titled Unreal Tales ORBs.pdf.
Yes, and it's a great source because it strips away all the internet rumors.
Oh, for sure. The mission for our deep dive today is to bypass all the noise and look exclusively at hard military data.
Just the actual sensor logs and pilot observations.
Right, to understand exactly what is occupying our skies.
Yeah.
And this deep dive is really for you, the listener, who just wants the facts and the context without the overwhelming information overload.
Well, what stands out immediately in the opening pages of this document isn't just the sheer volume of sightings.
Right.
It's the caliber of the observers. I mean, these are top-tier naval aviators and radar operators.
They aren't just amateur stargazers.
Exactly. Their baseline for normal atmospheric phenomena is higher than almost anyone else on the planet.
So if they see something weird, it's actually weird.
Yes. When they log an incident, they've already run through the entire checklist of known variables.
Like system glitches or optical illusions.
Right, or just conventional aerospace tech. So the reports we're looking at today are the anomalies that survive that really intense filtering process.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the physical descriptions of these anomalies are what grab your attention first.
They really do.
The pilots explicitly state these are not conventional airframes. They aren't normal drones. What they are seeing repeatedly are spheres.
Yes, ORBs. Perfectly smooth, either metallic or luminous, appearing at varying altitudes.
And with absolutely zero control surfaces. Like no wings, no ailerons, no tail fins, no exhaust nozzles.
Which is baffling.
It is. It's like, okay, think about an expert birder, right? Someone who has spent their whole life studying birds.
Okay.
And suddenly they see a creature in the sky with absolutely no wings and no feathers. It's just floating there.
Right. It completely shatters their paradigm.
Exactly. Imagine how jarring that must be for a pilot whose life depends on recognizing aerodynamic shapes to suddenly encounter a perfectly smooth, silent sphere.
What's fascinating here is that we are getting identical descriptions from entirely different independent military teams.
It's not just one guy having a bad day.
No, not at all. These aren't isolated hallucinations. It's a repeated, consistent visual phenomenon.
But from an aerodynamic standpoint, I mean, a sphere is essentially the worst possible shape for a flying object, right? Yeah. If you want to generate lift or maintain stability.
Oh, absolutely. A sphere has a terrible ballistic coefficient for atmospheric flight.
Right.
Without lifting surfaces, an object heavier than air requires immense, continuous downward thrust just to fight gravity.
Like a helicopter or a Harrier jump jet.
Exactly. And the amount of kinetic energy and displaced air for those vehicles is massive. It's violently turbulent.
But these spheres don't do that.
No. These reports describe perfectly smooth spheres hovering motionless in high winds without producing any rotor wash or exhaust trail.
Wow.
The environment around the object just remains completely undisturbed.
But, I mean, couldn't an adversary just be testing some radical new reconnaissance drone? Like a balloon is a sphere, obviously, and it doesn't have wings.
Well, balloons drift with the prevailing wind vectors.
Why, they just blow in the wind.
Right, exactly. But the radar tracks detailed in the PDF show these objects holding a completely stationary geocoordinate against hurricane force winds at 30,000 feet.
Wait, really? 30,000 feet?
Yes. And you can't achieve that passively. It requires active, incredibly powerful station-keeping capabilities.
And a normal drone would need a propulsion mechanism to do that.
Right, rotors or jets, which means it would have a thermal footprint and an acoustic signature.
But these spheres leave no contrails and make absolutely zero sound.
Even when performing maneuvers that would rip a conventional airframe apart.
Yeah, and that lack of conventional movement is where this stops being an aeronautical puzzle and starts becoming, well, a fundamental physics problem.
It absolutely does.
The text explicitly notes that these objects do not demonstrate normal aerodynamic behavior. They hover motionless, and then they move with this baffling precision.
Precision is the key word there.
Yeah, because the wording in the military logs is fascinating.
Yeah.
They don't say the objects accelerate or decelerate.
Right.
They describe them as simply changing position.
And the distinction in that terminology is deliberate. It points to a completely different mechanical paradigm.
How so? Like, how does a physical object just change position without accelerating?
Well, in standard Newtonian mechanics, force equals mass times acceleration.
Right. Basic high school physics.
Exactly. If you want to move a physical object from a standstill to, say, Mach 2, you have to apply a tremendous amount of kinetic force over time.
So the object speeds up, hits its top speed, and then has to slow down.
Yes, and that process creates massive G forces.
I mean, if a human pilot pulls 9 Gs in a dogfight, they're on the verge of blacking out, right?
Right, and the multi-million-dollar airframe itself is under immense structural stress.
But these ORBs just jump. It's like, think of a computer mouse cursor moving across a screen.
That's a great way to look at it.
Yeah, it doesn't have to rev up or hit the brakes.
Yeah.
You just move your hand and it jumps from point A to point B. It redraws its coordinates.
Exactly. And the telemetry data in these reports captures these objects dropping from 80,000 feet to sea level in seconds.
Oh, wow. That's a huge drop.
And then stopping on a dime without a deceleration curve? The calculated G-forces for those maneuvers are in the hundreds, if not thousands.
So a human inside would just be crushed.
A biological pilot would be turned to soup, and any known material alloy, like titanium or carbon fiber, would just disintegrate under that stress.
That's unbelievable.
To simply change position instantaneously implies the object is somehow operating outside the constraints of inertia entirely.
So it's insulating itself from the gravitational and inertial forces of our reality.
Insulating is the operative concept here, yes.
Wow.
If an object can negate its own mass or, say, warp the local space-time around it, inertia ceases to be a factor.
Because it's not flying in the sense that a plane flies.
Right, it's not pushing air downward. It would be falling in a direction of its own choosing, completely disconnected from the aerodynamic drag of the Earth's atmosphere.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Because you can argue with the human eye, right? People make mistakes. But the hardware tells an even stranger story.
It absolutely does. The sensor data is undeniable.
The document details how early sightings were dismissed by higher-ups as radar spoofing or system glitches. But then we got multi-sensor cross-validation.
Which is the gold standard for military intelligence.
Exactly. You have the pilot's eyeballs, the ship's AGS radar system, and the jet's infrared sensors all locked onto the exact same spatial coordinate.
They are all seeing the exact same thing at the exact same time.
Right. And the infrared video shows this ORB crossing the visual field at a constant high velocity with zero significant thermal variation.
Which should be impossible.
Because even the most advanced stealth jets produce heat, right? If there's no heat and no propulsion, how is it moving through our atmosphere?
Well, this raises an important question. Infrared sensors don't just look for the hot exhaust of a jet engine.
What else do they look for?
They look for the thermal friction of the airframe violently displacing the atmosphere.
Oh, like wind resistance.
Exactly. When an object moves at hypersonic speeds, it compresses the air molecules in front of it.
Yeah.
That rapid compression generates a massive amount of heat, creating a glowing plasma sheath around the craft.
Oh, is that why returning space capsules need those thick heat shields?
That is the exact reason.
But couldn't a highly advanced aerospace program just have engineered a revolutionary cooling system? Like routing liquid nitrogen through the hull to mask the heat?
Well, you can cool the internal components and perhaps even the outer skin of a craft.
Right.
But you cannot cool the atmosphere you are slamming into. The kinetic energy of max speed travel has to go somewhere.
Because the friction is a byproduct of the object actually physically touching the air.
Exactly. For a sophisticated FLIR system to register a completely cold object moving at high velocities, it implies an aerodynamic profile that is displacing air without actually touching it.
So we are back to the insulation idea. It's moving through the atmosphere, but the physical material of the sphere isn't touching our air.
It's essentially creating a localized vacuum.
Wow. And if there is no friction, there's no heat bloom.
And if there's no friction, there's no sonic boom either.
Right, because a sonic boom is just a pressure wave, right?
Exactly. It's created when an object moves faster than the speed of sound, pushing air molecules out of a wave violently.
So if you encapsulate the object in a field that routes the air around it perfectly, You eliminate the pressure wave entirely.
You get silent, cold, hypersonic travel.
That is just wild. The sensor data isn't just proving the object exists. It's proving that our foundational models of aerospace engineering are completely incomplete.
They are fundamentally broken by these observations, yes.
So, the hardware confirms the physics-defying nature of the objects. But the document doesn't stop at their material properties.
No, it delves very deeply into their behavior.
Yeah, and this is the most unsettling part of the reports. The text outlines interactions between these ORBs and human aircraft in designated military training areas.
They aren't just passive objects floating in the distance like rogue weather balloons.
Right, the reports describe them actively accompanying planes.
Crucially, they maintain a fixed distance from a maneuvering military jet.
It's so eerie. It's like someone walking perfectly in your blind spot on a dark street, matching your pace exactly, step for step.
It's a very unsettling analogy, but an accurate one.
I mean, does this behavior imply a programmed response, or is it intentional observation?
Well, maintaining a fixed distance against a maneuvering F-18 is not a passive atmospheric anomaly. It indicates a localized awareness.
Because the plane is doing chaotic stuff.
Right, exactly. Let's break down what that feedback loop actually entails. When a fighter pilot is flying evasive maneuvers, they are banking, changing thrust, rolling.
It's nonlinear movement.
Right. For another object to maintain a perfectly fixed distance, it can't just be flying on a pre-programmed route.
It has to react.
Yes, it's like a weapon system achieving a radar lock, but translating that lock into physical proximity.
So the ORB has to instantly calculate the jet's vector thrust and bank angle, and then mirror it flawlessly without overshooting.
It requires immense, real-time computational intelligence.
Oh.
A pre-programmed drone cannot anticipate the chaotic, real-time decisions of a human pilot.
Right, it would lag behind or overshoot.
Exactly. The object has to constantly observe the jet, process the telemetry data, and execute a mathematically perfect counter-movement to hold its relative position.
So it's actively tracking them.
It changes the phenomenon from a passive atmospheric event to an interactive one. It elevates it from something we are observing into something that is actively observing us.
That distinction changes everything about how we read these reports. I mean, if you are tracking the movements of an advanced fighter jet, matching its pace flawlessly, and then just winking out of existence.
It implies intentionality.
Right. Now, the military logs don't assign a motive, obviously.
No, they stick to the facts.
But the fact that the ORBs are operating in restricted training airspaces, specifically intercepting strike groups, suggests they are gathering data on our capabilities.
Assessing intent is the hardest part of intelligence work, especially when the subject operates outside our technological paradigm.
Oh, for sure.
But the location of these incursions is vital data. These aren't random sightings over empty oceans.
Where are they happening mostly?
They are concentrated around carrier strike groups and nuclear propulsion assets.
It's so exactly where our most advanced military technology is deployed.
Yes. In intelligence terms, that is textbook collection behavior. They are testing our radar floors, observing our scramble times, and analyzing our aeronautical performance.
So what does this all mean? Like, what is the United States government's actual official stance on this data?
It's evolving significantly.
Because for decades, military personnel were actively discouraged from reporting these sightings.
Oh, absolutely. You didn't want to be the pilot who saw a flying saucer.
Right, because it meant a psych evaluation and the end of your flight career.
But Unreal Tales ORBS.pdf outlines a massive shift in protocol.
Yeah, the military officially replaced the stigmatized term UFO with UMP, which stands for Unidentified Aerial Phenomena.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the shift in nomenclature from UFO to UAP is critical for scientific hygiene.
How so? Like just getting rid of the baggage?
Exactly. The term UFO became inextricably linked to pop culture science fiction, conspiracy theories, and a distinct lack of rigor.
Right, you hear UFO and you think of Hollywood aliens, not military sensor data.
Precisely. By redefining it as unidentified aerial phenomena, the defense establishment stripped away that cultural baggage.
So it signals to aviators that the military views this strictly as an objective, defense-related aerospace anomaly.
And that they are finally taking it seriously.
I have to say, it's a relief that as a listener, you don't have to choose between believing in aliens or swamp gas, right?
Right.
The document is remarkably transparent about the lack of answers. Official discussions concede that these sightings represent something fundamentally ununderstood.
And they state theories ranging from highly classified experimental technology, either foreign or domestic, to extremely rare, undiscovered atmospheric phenomena.
But it clearly notes that none of those hypotheses fully account for the observed behavior.
No, they don't. A foreign drone doesn't explain the lack of a thermal signature.
And an atmospheric anomaly doesn't explain active telemetry tracking of an F-18.
Exactly. The official conclusion is a very humble admission of ignorance. They might simply be something observing.
Which is just, it gives you chill.
But acknowledging ignorance is the necessary prerequisite for scientific discovery.
Right. You can't learn if you pretend you already know everything.
For 70 years, the official stance was a combination of denial and dismissal.
But now they're officially stating that these phenomena do not fit the profile of known foreign technology or natural weather events.
Which opens the door for physicists and engineers to look at this not as a glitch, but as a new frontier of mechanical possibility.
It's a profound paradigm shift. Okay, let's briefly recap the hard data we've pulled from these official reports today.
It's quite a list.
It really is. We are looking at perfectly smooth, wingless spheres operating in heavily monitored airspace. We have top-tier, highly trained aviators and multi-million-dollar sensor suites confirming movement that defies inertia.
Objects changing position instantaneously without acceleration.
Right, and subjecting themselves to G-forces that would shatter conventional matter. Plus, we've dissected the infrared data showing a total lack of thermal bloom.
Suggesting a technology that completely bypasses atmospheric friction.
And finally, we examined the active telemetry loops, right? The intelligence required to mirror the chaotic maneuvers of a strike fighter at fixed distances.
The data presents a cohesive picture of a technology that interacts with gravity, mass, and the atmosphere in ways we simply cannot currently replicate.
The challenge now is moving from observation to actually understanding the underlying mechanics.
Exactly. The phenomenon remains unanswered, but it is finally being taken seriously.
And as we close this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final thought inspired by the very last line of that military report.
The suggestion that these objects might exist purely to observe.
Yeah. Think about it. If a technology exists that can perfectly insulate itself from our physical world,
moving without emitting heat or sound.
Right, without breaking the sound barrier, without leaving an exhaust trail, and completely ignoring our laws of momentum, if that exists, how long exactly have we been looking up at an apparently empty sky, completely unaware that the sky has been looking right back at us?
It's a chilling thought to leave on.
It really is. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep looking up and always keep questioning the world around you.